Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelby and today I'm going to be doing my May TBR. I feel like April went by so fast, so I am so surprised it is already May. I have 10 books here that I would love to read in the month of May. I can read definitely more than 10, so I'm much more of a mood reader, but I figured I would set a few that I would like to read. I have a mix of romance, historical fiction, thrillers, a couple of arcs. I will link all of them down below and I'd love to hear what you guys want to read in May, and let's get right into it. The first book I have to talk about is Only Him by Melanie Harlow. This is the second book in the One and Only series. So each book of this series, they're all companion novels. Each book is about a different sister. And this one focuses on the sister Marin, and she had dated someone 12 years ago and now it's 12 years later and the guy is back in her life, and it is a second chance romance, I believe. So I don't know much else, but I kind of want to go into it blind, and it sounds really cute and the cover is also adorable. The next book is by an author I also enjoy, Stacey Hart, and the book is called Bad Penny. I hear a lot about this book when I hear about Stacey Hart, and it's one of her books I haven't read, and it is about a woman named Penny who lives in NYC, and she is a tattoo artist and she does not want to commit to anyone. She has a 3-date rule, so she will not date anyone past 3 dates. But there was a guy that she went to school with, I think middle school or high school, and back in the day he was a nerd and she wouldn't even look at him, but he always had a crush on her. Well, now he's older and really hot, and he comes back into her life and wants to change everything that she believes about love. So I'm assuming it's kind of a second chance-ish, even though they didn't have a romance previously, but it sounds really good and can't wait for it. Next one is by an author I've been dying to read, who is Mariana Zapata. This one is called The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. This one is a football romance between a guy named Aiden, who is a really famous football player for a football team, and there is an employee called Vanessa who I guess used to be like an assistant for the team, and she left, but she was brought back by him, I'm thinking. So some kind of sports romance. Again, I don't really want to know too much. I've heard Mariana Zapata is great with slow burn romances, so I cannot wait for this one. And now on to some of the thrillers. The first one is Peter Swanson's All the Beautiful Lies. I have 4 of his books on my shelves, and this is the only one on my shelves that I haven't read. And it is a thriller of some sort. It is the one I think that came out last year, and I don't know too much about it, but on the blurb it said diabolically clever tale of obsession, revenge, and cold-blooded murder. So I really don't want to know much else but that. Like, that just ties me into it, so cannot wait for this one, and I really like the cover. The next one is The One by John Mars. I recently purchased this in March, and this is a sci-fi thriller about this service that'll pair you with your perfect match through your DNA, so you can find your soulmate with science rather than just meeting them in public. And I'm assuming that when they get their matches, something weird happens. Maybe it's not always paradise, and I cannot wait. It's a little bit longer, so I think I've been putting it off for that reason, but I just heard great things, and John Mars has another book coming out this summer, so I'd love to read this prior to that. The next one is Her Last Secret by Barbara Copperwaite. And this one I heard about from Lisa Books and Smiles. She had raved about it, and it's a domestic suspense about a family that seems perfect and everyone in the family has lies. The husband is hiding some deep secrets from his past. The wife, I believe, is struggling with paranoia of some sort, and I know that the daughter, something's going on with her too. So I don't know much about it, but I just heard such great things that I kind of want to go in blind and be surprised. That's how I like to go into thrillers and domestic suspense books, because if I read the synopsis too hard, I usually can't guess what's going on. So just gonna go into this one blind, but I cannot wait to read it. And then I have one historical fiction that I want to read this month, and that is Next Year in Havana by Chanel Clayton. And this is about a woman who, her grandmother died, and right after her grandmother dies, she goes to Cuba to kind of look into her past and learn about her heritage of being Cuban. And I don't know much about Cuba, and so I'm really excited for this book. And the second book in the series, or a companion, just came out, and I definitely want to read it soon, so I have to read this one ASAP. And then I have 3 arcs that I would love to get to this month. I only have 3 left on my NetGalley, and I would like to just finish all of those so it leaves space for me to read more in the future. First arc I have to talk about is The Road Leads Back by Marcy Bolden. This is the first in the Stonehill series, and it is about a woman named Kara and a guy named Harry, and 27 years ago they hooked up in high school, and now it's 27 years later and Kara has a child who's 27. and she encounters Harry and he has no idea that they had created a child together, so I'm assuming it's some story about him getting to know his child and maybe a second chance romance with him and Kara. Sounds really good, and this one already did come out in February. But it was still available in NetGalley, but if you're interested in reading it, it is already published. The next one is The Women by S.E. Lines. This is a domestic suspense. It comes out on May 22nd, so I want to read it ASAP before it comes out. And this one is about a woman who gets married to the perfect guy, or he seems perfect, and not long after they get married, he starts being really controlling and things change in their relationship, and she starts receiving letters that make her believe that maybe she is not the first woman that he has been with and controlled, and she's kind of worried for her safety. So it's some kind of domestic suspense. I don't want to know too much about it before reading it, but really pumped to read it. The last one I have to talk about is The Mother's Mistake, and this one comes out June 11th, so I have a little bit longer to read it. And this one is by Ruth Heald, and it is another domestic suspense about the perfect family, but they are definitely not perfect behind closed doors. There are things going on that are not perfect. Don't know much else about it. I just want to go in blind. It's definitely another domestic suspense. I have a few on here that are about like the perfect family, so hopefully they're not all the same. But yes, those are the 10 books I would love to read in May. I will link them all down below, and I will see you guys all in my next one.